Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. Well, I thought we should begin by taking a look here at the flow of the jet stream on Sunday, June 30th. It featured overall a broader trough off the west coast, a large ridge building in the middle section of the country, and another deeper trough that sat right here off of the east coast. Well, pinched between these two troughs was this sizable ridge, and there's some valuable lessons to be learned about summer flow patterns of the jet stream, what it means for U.S. precipitation from this map. We should also say what this map means in terms of temperatures as well. Take a look at our high temperatures on Sunday afternoon. You can see a large section of the country seeing upper 90s, like right in through here, even some 100-degree temperatures along that same area. Also coming back over to Illinois and getting here over into the southeast as well. But notice on the northern side of that, you have these pockets, like right in through here, moving in through parts of Wisconsin as well, and even northern Illinois, where at times our temperatures actually got below 70 degrees. So we had this stark contrast in high temperatures in the day on Sunday. And again, it all comes down to that flow pattern. Now let me show it a little bit different way. This is an animation sunup to sundown of our from our GO-16 satellite. And so we can see the cloud tops, the big thunderstorm clusters that we got in the day on Sunday. Now you can still see the flow of the atmosphere. See it like this? There it is. That was the overall flow, and we saw plenty of moisture transport under that ridge. We saw convection on our mountains, and then clusters of thunderstorms that rode the ridge riding thunderstorms. In fact, not only there, but they kind of followed a boundary that sat from parts of Illinois through Kentucky, getting over into the border of North Carolina and Virginia. And as you watch this animation, the lesson to be learned here is that during this time of year, if the moisture's in place, we can have daily convective events, big-time thunderstorms that produce their own outflow. Those thunderstorms push in the direction toward where the high humidity air is, where the air that can feed their updrafts is, and they're going to go after it, and they're going to produce some localized severe weather. Now, let me just show you some of this. Here's just some pictures from Illinois. My former student, Olivia, sent me this one as the squalling was passing through parts of northern Illinois. This is from Alex Smart. This is actually from Chicago. Another beautiful picture here of a shelf cloud coming over parts of Chicago. And probably the image that stole the day from Tim here. This was in Polo, Illinois, just getting this beautiful view of the outflow of one of these squall lines, the shelf cloud that's produced on the front of it, just racing across parts of Illinois. And the reason why I'm focusing on Illinois in this is because when you look at just the last 72 hours of total accumulated precipitation, we had some really nasty storms that kind of followed this trajectory, running over the top of that ridge. And some of these storms can move hundreds, if not over 1,000 miles once they get going. So a lot of storms in through here, a lot of storms fed on the moisture coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico, as you can see there, and then they run around that ridge. So let me show you what some of the severe weather reports look like, though, just from the day on Sunday. Here it is. 404 separate reports, but 355 of them are from these storms right in through here, and those were those strong wind reports. We did have some nasty weather that was also along the northeast there, and you can see pockets where we had some hail back into parts of South Dakota and Minnesota as well. So that's the setup I want you to learn, because as we move forward in this forecast, you're going to continue to see that in the near term before the pattern changes. So this is what's going on early in the morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning. We're still watching a lot of stronger thunderstorms that are moving through parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, southern Minnesota, into Wisconsin. We need to see where these storms are going, because they've already got things lit up here. You can see what these live lightning strikes early in the morning on Monday as to where the stronger storms are. Well, to see where they're going, I want you to take a look at this animation. This is middle of the day on Monday. Now, in the background, I've got swirling the wind speeds here. And then essentially what I want you to see is there's a boundary kind of tucked right in through here that we need to be paying close attention to. Now, that boundary, if you look, on this side of it has got an abundant amount of moisture transport. And what's color-coded here is CAPE. CAPE stands for convective available potential energy. In other words, when you see these colors, we're actually showing you where the atmosphere has the energy to produce strong storms. Now, before I show you that, I want you to notice one of the things. Trade winds are still strong. Alvin's out here, still sitting in the Eastern Pacific. We're going to come back to a discussion about what these trade winds mean in terms of tropical activity in the near future. But let me show you what's going on today from the Storm Prediction Center. We are watching this corridor right in through here for more severe storms today. And just remember, this whole area is going to be under the gun for having thunderstorms today. But I also want you to see that as we go back up here into parts of Montana, that as you go from Monday into Tuesday, that's the map that's over here on the right, we're going to be watching the ridge sitting here, but there will be a low pressure system coming in through this area, dragging a front through there, and that's where we have the risk on Tuesday for stronger to severe storms, again, coming through parts of the high plains here in the northern plains. So that's just a look at your next couple of days. Let's go straight over to our high resolution rapid refresh model and play this one out through middle of the day on Tuesday. You can see the boundary on which I just drew for you there. We're going to watch storms just kind of come right in through this area. See them there? I'll get that line up there so it's a little bit clearer. Monday, scattered storms through parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and it's going to stay in that corridor throughout much of the day on Monday. If you get down here in parts of mid-south and the southeast, watch it again. You're going to see down there widespread scattered storms. That's simply because we just have the heat, we have the humidity, and it's going to pop. So expect widespread scattered showers and storms if you're down there in the mid-south and parts of the southeast. Meanwhile, again, coming up through parts of the Four Corners states, stretching through Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. That's our main corridor on which we're going to be seeing some stronger storms. Also, in parts of the Pacific Northwest, look here again, more showers and thunderstorms there as we still have part of that upper level trough still sitting in place. So a lot of activity just getting you through the next 36 hours midday on Tuesday. Now, if we look at all of the next week, so this is starting on Monday, going all the way through Monday, July 8th, I want you to just kind of see a couple of things here. When we look at where we're going to at least get about an inch of rainfall, I kind of see that the ECMWF and the US model kind of agrees with it. It's this corridor in through here where we're going to be seeing storms build. And also, I'll let you know, right in through this area as well, as we get up kind of into the higher plains here and then use the mountains as a source of lift, we're going to be seeing some storms into that area as well. So as you just kind of hone in on this picture, this is just through the next week. A lot of, easily created thunderstorms given how juicy the lower atmosphere is. We could get some locally very heavy rains within that region that I'm kind of highlighting there. Even outside of it, still a lot of scattered showers and thunderstorms. Taking a look at week 2, we have the European ensemble on the left. We have the US GFS ensemble on the right. You can see that both models are trying to keep this particular corridor wet right in through here. The US model is a little bit drier down here in the southeast, whereas the week 2 precipitation from the ECMWF actually keeps this area wet. But as we step through some of the major details, the big picture stuff here about what's causing this flow pattern to look like this, you're going to see in a few minutes that I'm going to favor the European model just because of where it is placing the ridges, the high pressure centers at the surface, okay? So overall, this is what week 2 looks like. Some agreement in some locations from both models, but some disagreement in others. And again, I want you to really focus in on the European model for the better week 2 profile here, okay? Now, let's go straight to temperatures where we come back to precipitation. Through our next 5 days, which is what we have over here on the left, we continue to see that the flow pattern is going to be doing something like this, okay? There is a trough that's sneaking down like this, but out ahead of it, quite a bit of warmth that it will be in place across the eastern half of the country. California, West Coast still dealing with some cooler weather. By the time we get into day 6 through 10, it's really only the southeast and parts of the southwest that are going to hang on to the warmer bias. So this is some of the cooler air that we've been talking about that will be coming in after the first week of July that'll be moving here into the midsection of the country. And if we step this out to what we're expecting to see days 11 through 15, we can start to see the change happening. This is the bigger change that we've been mentioning in our longer range forecasts. You can see the cooler pocket of air both in the European model on the left and the GFS over there on the right, moving back in to the central part of the United States, hitting the Corn Belt almost in its entirety. The periphery, warm all around it. So West Coast, southern U.S., getting over in the southeast, warm. So that is a pretty sizable change that we've been discussing in our long-range forecast that we're now starting to see showing up in those near-term model runs. Okay, so keep that in your back of your mind when it comes to temperatures. And the reason why is because of this map. We keep showing these. This is growing degree day unit anomalies from June 1st. Now, I know this says 6:30, but I didn't change the date properly. This is through the 28th. So I don't have the heat from the last couple of days in this animation. Or sorry, excuse me, in this map. But we know that going up to that point, from the 1st of June to the 28th, we are still in deficit in this region in terms of growing degree day units, and also in a big section in through here. Now, the heat we just brought in is going to change some of this. We picked up some heat, but that might bring us back more toward normal. We need excess. We need to get a lot of heat into this crop and get it going. Meanwhile, all around the periphery, that's where it's been warm, and we're going back over into warm in those same areas as we progress forward in this forecast. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to animate for you, just let you see it. Upper level flow pattern. We can see that with time, we lose that ridge over the central United States, and we go back into a flow pattern that looks to be doing something a bit more like this. You see it? We've been talking about this for a while. And so at times we're going to be dealing with this trough that's developing, this overall, dip in the height lines here around the Hudson Bay area. Now I want to take those drawings off there and take you back and just show you a couple of bigger features here. As we move through Monday into Tuesday, it's the trough that's sliding through parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba there that is going to be allowing for this region to be dealing with some severe weather on Tuesday afternoon and evening. Still have ridging in general over the eastern Corn Belt, so they're going to hang on to that warmer bias, okay? Now that trough sweeps through parts of Canada while a broader trough kind of develops here along the west coast. Now the reason why that's happening is look at what's going on just upstream. Big high over low pattern sitting here in Alaska and south of the Aleutian Islands. And this is the bigger setup for what's going on across much of North America moving forward. Now watch what I mean. As I just play this on forward, that high over low, that blocking pattern that you see right there is what creates this in general broader trougher feature in this area and slides that ridge that was over the central United States away. And that is the change that brings in the cooler weather. Look at it here. This is the 10th of July, starts to bring in the cooler weather back into this corridor. And that's not what we want. We want to keep the warmth around, but we end up getting over this pattern by the time we get to about the 11th or 12th. So yeah, we got some of the heat in here, but it goes right back over to this pattern, and it looks like we're going to see some cooler tendencies in July for the midsection of the country, while the western United States and the southern and southeastern part of the United States go back over to a bit of a warmer pattern. Now, when we step through some of the details here from the European model, trying to look at when and where the precipitation is coming in, I want you to focus on where the high pressure is. We're going to talk first about the Bermuda High, because that's what's going to feed a lot of these thunderstorms in the coming days, okay? So remember, it's this corridor in through here that we're going to be watching, and you're just going to see lots of flashes of green in there, and that is just the heat and humidity coming around this high, feeding those storms. Are you ready? So that's the first high to watch. Let's just play it out. Now, I'm just stepping back here. Watch. This is Monday afternoon, evening, Tuesday night. I'm sorry, Monday night. Tuesday morning, here it is, Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, pop, Tuesday evening. Do you see that? See all the green showing up there? All of that's feeding around this high pressure system, bringing in that moisture. Now, as we keep going through Tuesday afternoon and evening, here we go. This is Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. See it all turn green again? That's all fed on the moisture. So it's just going to be daily thunderstorm activity in a large quadrant. And we talked about that, where it's going to be. Watch again. This is July the 4th. Who's going to be getting some natural fireworks? Well, there is afternoon and evening. It's this whole area has the potential for a lot of, I'm sorry, it goes all the way back into Montana as well. That whole area has the potential for storms just on the heating of the day and the abundant supply of moisture. Now, here's where some change begins. Are you ready? As I take you past Thursday night into Friday, watch the high pressure system that slides in this weekend there in the northern plains. Do you see it? And it pushes right here across parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, eventually works its way over to the eastern Corn Belt. I'm talking about this high right here, coming down, starting on July 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Here it is. This is now the 8th and 9th, and that pushes east. Now, once that goes over toward the southeast behind it, look at the corridor of heavier rain in through here on the next high pressure system. So summertime is often about looking at where the high pressure systems butt up against one another to be the focal point for where we get severe weather. So we're going to watch that very carefully over the coming days. All right. So that was kind of our look here from the European model. Now, in terms of tropical activity, National Hurricane Center is not watching much over the next 5 days, but we do need to pay attention to this. Currently, the Madden-Julian Oscillation is keeping upper level divergence, in other words, rising motion, very favorable over the Eastern Pacific. That's why we've got Alvin over there. We see that week 1 into week 2, we start to see that sliding a bit to the east, getting over parts of the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Now, while that's pretty far out, we're looking here at a week 2 forecast for tropical activity. If that slides more toward the east, that area of the cooler colors there, that just tells me that the upper levels of the atmosphere would be ready to produce more active tropical convection. Now, again, as long as we keep things less dusty and the wind shear stays down, but the MJO is helping out in that area. To finish out our presentation today, I'm going to take you globally. And I want you to watch one major region, and that is going to be a lot of Europe here and the Russian wheat belt. So you can see the Black Sea right in through this area. Now, in general, we saw some pretty serious heat last week coming through parts of Europe on this bigger ridge, but there was a broader trough feature sitting here over to the northern part of the Russian wheat belt. So as I click play, I want you to see that we did get some precipitation in here, especially in northern parts. And look at that system that came through there, hitting regions right around the Black Sea. So there was some precip that did come into that area that would have been seen as favorable. It wasn't kind of a, they had overall this drier pattern, but that was still helpful. Now, what about as we move forward in the forecast? Well, today through parts of Europe, we have a region that's going to be stretching from Poland back through Germany and into France, right in through here, where there's a boundary hanging out there that's going to be producing quite a bit of severe weather. So we have a high risk of severe storms moving across this particular section of Central Europe. Also, storms over here. Here's the Black Sea. So just in this corridor here of parts of the Russian wheat belt and getting over to Kazakhstan. Over the next week, look at the map on the left. We can see that even though heat is coming back in, see that? We will be dry in parts of northern France, this particular section of Germany, with more of our storms focused along the south. Here's the Black Sea again, just to kind of keep you oriented on where you are in the world. When you look in this corridor, right in here in parts of Ukraine, we can see some heavier precipitation moving through that area. But overall here in parts of the Russian wheat belt, it's going to be a lot of hit or miss showers and storms moving forward this week. Most of the heavy rain up north here, but a lot of that is forest, not productive agricultural land. All right. And to finish this whole thing up, I want to take you over to Asia. We have seen some big rains in the forecast expected to return to India. By the way, let me take that drawing off. Yep, that's the European model suggesting maybe 20 inches of rain here. That's what the monsoon is capable of doing. But I want you to see our two main growing regions over here in China. The northern growing region expecting to get quite a bit of rain through the next week. Look at the southern growing region here, though. Very dry in the forecast, while major flooding is expected along the Mayu front. So that's just kind of a quick global peek at what we're expecting to see over the next week or so, and hope that kind of gives you a clue as to how these major croplands abroad are going to be faring. With that, we're going to wrap it up right there. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to our next ag forecasts coming out all week long here at my.nutrienagsolutions.com. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.